Hi, welcome to my video on extra percent problems. Extra percent problems. Number one, let's do each problem two different ways to find the final amount. A, $200 increased by 30% is 30% times $200. Decimal 30 times 200, which gives me $60. So if it's an increase, it's $200, add on $60, and that gives altogether $260. But another way to do that would be to add or subtract your percent. So if I took the 30% and said it was an increase, that would be 100%, add on 30%. So it would be 130% of the $200. So the 130% times the $200, 130% is 1.3 times the 200, and 1.3 times 200 gives me 260. Again, we can take a percent of the number and get that answer and add it on to the amount, or we can add or subtract the percent. In this case, because it's increased, we add it and take the percent of the 200 and get the answer. So it's two ways to do it. Let's try B. Selling price of $140, sales tax of 6. So the sales tax is 6% times 140. 6% is 2 decimal places to the left, so decimal 06 times 140. And decimal 06 times 140, try your calculator, is 8 decimal 40. So we have $140 with it, 2 zeros with a decimal, and we have $8.40. And if we add them up, we should get $148.40. But if we did it the other way, we got a sales tax of 6%, so it's 100 plus the 6, so we get 106%. So if we do 106% times $140, which is 1.06 times $140, we would have 148.40. Check with your calculator to make sure I'm okay. So that's an increase. That's the sales taxes adding on. What about if we do a decrease? If a decrease of 20% would be 20% times $150. Decrease could be similar to a discount. Decimal 20 times 150, and that gives us $30. Check with your calculator. And if it was a decrease, it would be $150, subtract $30, and that would be $120 that after your decrease. The other way would be to take your 20%, but this time, because it's a decrease, we're going to subtract 20. So if we take 20% off, we have 80% left. So if we take 80% off the 150, which is decimal 8 or decimal 80 times 150, either or, we would get the answer of 120 right away. So either or, just showing you two different ways to think. A fee for golfing, fees for golfing is $500 discount at 35%. So if we discount 35%, that's 35% times the 500, which is decimal 35 times the 500. And decimal 35 times 500 gives $175. And that's a discount, so we're taking the $175 off, or dollars. So that gives us, if we make that, can't subtract, so that's a 4, that becomes a 10, can't do it, so that's a 9, and that's a 10. So that's a 5, 2, so that's 325, or you can use your calculator. And the other way would be to subtract your percent. Why? Because we're doing a discount of 35%. That means that there's 65% left. So if we take 65% times the $500, you get decimal 65 times the $500, and it gives us $325. So just interesting to show you the two different ways. It's sometimes easier to add or subtract the percent and then do the percentage. Number 2, $60,000 salary is increased by 15% in the first year and then 10% in the second year. So we have to do these individually. Do the 15 first and then do the 10. We can't add these up and say it is 25 and then take 25% of the 60. It don't work. Because you get 15% in the first year, the 15% is going to be added on to the 60,000. Then you take the 10% off that 60,000 plus 60,000 plus the 15. So here we go. So 15% increase, remember, let's take a shortcut. 100% plus 15% gives us 115%. So if we take the 60,000 and multiply it by 115%, 60,000 times 1.15. So if you multiply that out, you would get 69, multiplied it with a calculator, you get 69,000. 15% of 60,000 is 9,000. So right away I get the answer. So quick way to do it. So now in the next year we have a 10% increase on the 69,000. So we have 100% plus the 10%. That makes it 110% increase. So we take 110% times the 69,000, which is 1.1 times 69,000, we would get 75,900. So notice I'm doing the percent first and then the multiplication with the percentage after. That's a quick way to do it. Makes it interesting. Number 3, a tree grows 12% in 1 year. Find its initial height if the height after 1 year is 240. So the 240 is really, if you think about it, the 240 is on the end because as a result of the increase. So what we did just then, if you remember, we took 100%, we added the 12%, so we have 112%, similar to what we did up here. So if I take 112% of the initial height, which I'll call X or H, 112% of X will give me the 224. So if I divide both sides by the 112%, then I get, they cancel out 1, 1, but dividing, I should have changed the percent to a decimal before that, but I don't have to. I can keep working it out. So if I take my calculator and if I change 112% to a decimal, which is 1.12, and take my calculator and take 124 and divide it by 1.12, I will get $200. So $200 was the initial height. So notice the increase of 12, add on the 100, gives me 112. And 112% is worked out right here. That's a good way to work it with adding on the percent or subtracting percent. Number 4, we got 3 parts to this question. The volume of a red box is 104%, 140% the volume of the white box. The white box has a volume of 80 cubic centimeters. What is the volume of the red box? The volume of the red box exceeds the volume of the white box by how much? And what is the percent of increase in the volume? So let's work out the volume of the red box. So the volume of the red box is 140% times the volume of the white box. So 140% is 1.4 times 80, and that works out to be 112. So notice again is 104% times the 80, so it works out to be 112. The volume of the red box exceeds the volume of the white box by how much? So that means if I take the red box is 112 and subtract the 80, I'll find out how much the difference. Exceeds means more than. So it's 2, and that's a 0, and that's 11, so that's 32. So the answer is 32 cubic centimeters. More. Exceeds means more than. That's cubic centimeters. What is the percent of increase? Well, the percent of increase can be worked out two ways very quickly. If you look at 140 and you take off 100, you'll see that you had a 40% more, so 40% is your increase. That's simple. You can see that very easily. But another way, if you think about it, you had 32 increase. If you took the 32 increase and put it over the original volume of 80 and reduce that down, or divide 80 into 32, you'll come up with 40. But 8 into 80 goes 10. 8 into 32 goes 4. So 4/10 is 0.4, which is 40%. Or another way, 4/10 times 10 over 10 gives you 40 over 100. And 40 over 100 is 40%. So whatever way you want to do it. Okay, let's continue. Number 5, a sales tax of 8% on the price of a jacket is $11.20. Find the percent of discount on the jacket listed at $200. So the jacket is listed at $200, and then it went to give a discount. So what we have is the price of the jacket, and then we got a discount taken off, and then we got a selling price. So it's the price of the jacket, discount, and the selling price. But the selling price, if we take 8% of the selling price, we'll get $11.20. So think about it this way: 8% times the selling price, which we'll call X. The selling price, that's the selling price. Now to mark it in, make sure, is going to give you $11.20. So the percent is on the selling price. So if we change a percent to a decimal 0.08 times X equals $11.20. That's $11. And if we divide by decimal 0.08 on both sides, that cancels to give us ones. We get X is equal to. So when you divide that out with a calculator, you'll get $140. So $140 was the selling price. That means if it cost $200 and you had a selling price of $140, subtracting, I would get a $60 discount. And $60 discount is 60 out of the original price. So again, this is the selling price. So 140 is the selling price. That means to subtract 200, subtract 144 gives the amount of discount. So if you take your amount of discount and put it over 200, that'll give you your percentage. So that reduces by 2, divide by 2, and I get 30 over 100. 2 into 200, 2 into 60. 30 over 100 is a 30% discount. Again, the problem, I said there was going to be extra problems, and some of the problems were designed to think different. Number 6, a dog weighs 4 kilos at the 3 months at the 12-month, his weight is 630% of the 3-month weight. Find the average monthly weight in the 12 months. So we have 330% off the 3-month weight. So the 3-month weight is 4 kilos. So 630 is 6.3 times 4, and 6.3 times 4 gives me 25.2 kilos. So that's the weight at the end of 12 months. But 12 months, we want to find the average. So the average is 25.2 divided by the number of months, 12. If you use your calculator and work that out, you get 2.1. So the average monthly gain is 2.1. So you take 2.1 and multiply by 12, you get 25.2. Again, notice the 630% times. That's the idea of adding on 100, 200, 300, etc. Number 7, a certain amount of money was deposited into a bank account at 5% annual. After 3 years, the account had 10,350. What amount was deposited? This one is a little bit different in the thinking. Watch how I'm going to handle it. We know we have an interest, so the interest is principal times rate times time. We know that we're looking for the amount deposited, so we don't know what P is. We don't know what the I is yet. But the R is 5% annual, and the time is for 3 years. So you think about the 5% is 0.05 times 3. So that is 3 times 0.05 is 0.15. So the interest really is, think about it, 0.15 is 15% of the amount deposited, P, principal. Again, notice if you have 5%, 5% means you have what? Really, 5% 1 year, 5% the next, so you have a 15% gain. And notice, if you think about it, you have 100% plus 15%. So really, if you multiplied 115% times the amount you deposited, you would get the 10,300. Another way to think about that also, think of it, just watch it this way. If you have the amount deposited plus the 15%, that gives you your amount of the 10,350. So notice the 1 here is equivalent to 100%. So this is 100% of what you deposited. That's the same amount as whatever it is, plus the 15. There's your 115 right there. 115% times the principal, the amount you deposited, will give you the 10,350. And that's 1.15 times. And if you want to put an X or a P here, it makes no difference. It's just that it's a different problem. Divide by 1.15, and I get the principal. And if we divide that out, I will get $900. Again, a little bit different on the thinking, and that's why I mentioned that it's an extra problem, different in the thinking, to develop your thinking. That's what these problems are all about. And I have a different one here. Number 8, again, is different. It's sometimes when I go into a store and I see a sign posted, a coat is listed at $300. At a sale, a sign reads 50% off in the first week, another 40% off in the second week. And I say, what does that mean? Well, this statement can be interpreted in 2 different ways. If the coat is sold in the second week, that is, if you sell it in the first week, you just get the 50% off. But what about is sold in the second week? Find two different prices. Well, let's see how. Some people might say, well, 50% off in the first week, plus 40% off in the second week. That gives us 90% off. That means I have 100% with 90% off. I'm only going to pay 10% of the price of the jacket. So 10% times the $300. 10% is decimal 1 or decimal 10. And decimal 1 times $300. If that be the case and you interpret it that way, you would only pay $30 for that jacket. Okay, that's one way. Well, I also could perceive it this way. 50% off, well, that's 100. Subtract the 50, 100% subtract the 50%. So I'm getting a 50% discount. So I'm only paying 50% of that $300. And 50% is 0.5, which is a half. So if you multiply with a calculator, you will get $50. So you get, sorry, 150. So now you're in the first, after, if it's not sold after the first week, you're getting $150 off. So that's $300, taking off $150. So you have a $150 jacket left there in the second week. So I'm getting a 40% discount on this $150. So 40% discount is 100 minus the 40. 100 minus the 40 gives me $60, 60% that I have to pay on this 150, because the 150 again is what's left. So if you take 60% off the 150, that's decimal 6 times 150, then you're only going to pay, I say only, you're going to pay $90 for that coat. If you interpret it 50% and get the price is $150 and then do the 6% discount, you're going to pay $90. But if you interpret it over here as the sum of the 2%, you get a better deal. So when you're in the store sometime, ask how it's being calculated. I thought this was an interesting problem. Hope you enjoyed the extra problems, extra thinking. That's what develops your brain and helps you to think. Always think about the math. Thinking is great. If you like my video, then click on the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Write a comment on my video if you wish. And if you want, you may visit my www.math website at mathfullyexplained.com. There you'll find information from me, the videos, the teaching strategies I'm going to use, and the content that's in the section. The content has the topics, the number of videos on each topic, etc., etc. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.